cool.
For strike two. Well, Cleaver gave up a run early in his last start in Chicago, and it was the only run he gave up. That's not going to bother him at all. Yeah, it's a difficult run, but I promise you that's not going to shake his confidence or his pitch selection just because the first hitter.
You can do it. You can have coverage as soon as May 1st if you sign up now at healthcare.gov.
Same lineup that Cleveland faced last night. You see in this World Series in two previous starts, that group hitting 205 against Corey Cleaver. Off we go. Strike one. Fowler just 4 for 25 in this World Series. As we've talked about.
And the eighth of the Yankees over. This is the third baseman, number 20.
Hey everyone, it's Don with Don's Field of Dreams Cards. Wanted to comment a little bit on the video you just saw that I filmed while we were in New York City this past weekend, moving my daughter out there. So we got a chance to go to the MLB Store and a Yankees game. And as you saw at the MLB Store, quite a bit of product. Didn't have a whole lot of vintage or Negro League items, and obviously had a lot more of the better teams than my Pirates. And but what I really wanted to comment on there was the baseball cards. Amazing how much product they have with the Top Series 1. And there's a little bit 2020 Allen and Ginter, and didn't even see all the heritage until we were checking out behind the counter there. So I did pick up just one box of the heritage. And then on to the Yankee game, which ended up being quite a project. We drove to State College the day before, which is where Penn State University is, to spend a night, which is my alma mater. And on the way from Penn State to New York City, I get a text from the Yankees saying that you have to have proof of a COVID vaccine or a rapid test within 6 hours of the game. Now, I've had my tickets for like a week and a half and knew nothing about this. So fortunately, we were able to get a rapid test in New York City. So as you saw, there was a sign when we got to the game. We had to show our ID, plus the results of the COVID test and our tickets just to get to the ticket line. And there were 6 of us, my family and my daughter's roommate. And I originally bought 4 tickets, and then my daughter and her roommate said she wanted to go, so I had to get 2 more. So they weren't together, but we were in the same row. And there was no one else in the row. So my son and I were going to sit with the rest of my family. And as you can see in the video, they actually have rope on the seats. So there were 4 seats with my wife and my daughters and their friend, and then my son and I had to go down about 8 seats until there were 2 seats there that weren't roped off. And if you notice too, there's a guy holding like a paddle with a mask, and they were strictly enforcing mask wearing. So unless you were eating or drinking, so even if you had your mask down, they were literally holding a sign, would come up to you and say, you know, you got to put your mask on. So that was all a little strange, but the cool part was seeing Yankee Stadium. They played the Blue Jays, and never seen the stadium, and highly recommended if you're ever in New York City and you've never been there. It was an easy train ride to get to the stadium. Beautiful stadium. I really wish I could have seen the old Yankee Stadium, and I would have liked to have seen the monuments, but we didn't get a chance to do that. But it was still very cool, and you know, I always try to see a game if I'm in a city that I've never been to before. Unfortunately, I've been to some cities when I used to travel a lot for work, and there just didn't happen to be a home game. And that's how we picked the game. It was like, who's going to be home this weekend, the Mets or the Yankees? And it was the Yankees. So just wanted to share with you guys a little bit of Yankee Stadium, the MLB Store, and then a few items I'm going to share with you that were waiting for me when I got back. So let's go look at some cards. Okay, now on to some of the items that were waiting for me when we got back. So I picked this book up by Frank Slocum, Classic Baseball Cards, and what were the years? 1886 to 1956. And this is just a really cool book. I have a book of his that show cards of the 50s and 60s, but just pictures of all the years. It's really cool to see all these sets that you may have heard of, may never have heard of. The only set that is not in here, or I shouldn't say the only set, the glaring set that is not, is there are no Topps cards in here. But very cool players, cards. Actually, there's one of the players I have. So I picked that book up. Not in the greatest of shape, but that's okay. Just got it for the pictures. So I got some really nice slabs to show you, but before I show you those, just a couple things I've been picking up on the cheap. And I said I bought a heritage box, so it was cool to get a Clemente out of there and a rookie Cabrian Hayes for my Pirates. So when I left for New York City, the Pirates were in first place. Granted, they had only played one game, and they won their first game. And now they're 1-4, and as of today, Wednesday, they're down 5-0 in the first inning to the Reds. So it's going to be a long year, maybe a long couple more years for us Pirates fans. But just been picking up some cheap cards that I just think are cool of some of my vintage players that I like. So some Clementes here, some Stan Musials. If you ask me what year these cards or where they came from, I couldn't tell you. Really like these cards though, because these are cards that Stan Musial never had in the 54, 57, 56 set. I think these are called Topps. Oh, the Lost cards. 60 years of Topps, so these must be 10 years old. Really wish Stan would have had some Topps cards back then. A few more of his, and then a Project 70. So I'm not looking to get every card of these players. Like, you know, I know there's a Wade Boggs collectors on here, and Barry Bonds. You know, there could be over 5,000 cards, but if they're cheap, and I just think they're kind of neat looking, they're fun to get. So some of the slabbed Hall of Famers I had waiting for me. Don Drysdale. Had this card on my watch list, and wasn't really thinking about buying it. And then the guy offered me $75 off of it, and made it a really good deal. And it's nice to have a Drysdale rookie. Fun fact about Don Drysdale is he was married to Ann Myers, who played basketball for UCLA and in the women's pro leagues, which I don't know what it was back then. It wouldn't have been the WNBA. But they hold the distinction of being the only married couple to be in their respective athletic Hall of Fames. So I thought that was kind of cool. Another card that someone just offered me a great deal on that I couldn't pass up was a really nice rookie Bob Gibson. Really glad to add that to my collection. And then I had shown you an SGC reveal where my Clemente was altered. So sent that back to the owner and found this nice 3.5. I actually like this Clemente better than his 55. Not that I don't want his 55. I wish I had it, but I don't. But this is just, like most of the cards in the set, just a really nice looking card. So I've always kind of been a mainstream collector of cards. But after watching, a lot of these YouTube videos and learning from guys like John Mangini and Dave over at Blue Jacket 66, I'm starting to branch out a little bit and find some other things. And this 1963 Bazooka is an example of that, of Stan Musial. And, just like I said in a past video when I got my Christy Mathewson's card, I didn't realize how small these were because I've never seen these in person. And they have a blank back, and it looks like there's a little bit of a crooked cut on it. But still thought it was really, really a cool card. And the last card I wanted to show you, now even though this is I guess it's a food or beverage, even though it's from a dog food company, this card I've wanted for years, and it's super hard to find a nice copy of this card. It's really always off-centered. And this one's not perfectly centered, but for the grade and the price, this is probably in my top 3 cards. The 1954 Red Heart Stan Musial. Just a beautiful card. I've always loved this pose. The red background is really clean. The back of it, really nice as well. Again, off-centered. And like I said, to get this card in this kind of centering is just fine with me. The nicest centered one on eBay right now is $25,000. And it's been on there for quite a while. So I'm not sure if that guy's going to even come close to getting that. But just wanted to share my trip to New York City. Something a little bit different. Got to see a baseball game, which I can't tell you last time I went to a game. And as always, guys, I really appreciate you watching my video, and we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.